I was still struck by things. I went to see. I don't know who it was now. I think it was the Specials in Bristol, and the fear of going into the audience, away from my friends, because you knew all the National Front were over there, and so you'd actually had the situation where I went to see again it was the Specials or the Select who it was, and I remember seeing Costello walk through the audience going down to the stage because he obviously knew it was cool. Elvis Costello, sorry. I was thinking, oh, that's really cool. Then I can't get over there because just in case those skinheads over here will come. I was frightened of them because there was a different type of skinhead that was around, and I don't know whether it was about football because I stopped going to football. It became different. There were skinheads who I grew up with who were just doing what happened in their community. So some of them were racist by design, some were racist through their experience, but they still were your mates. And then there were skinheads over there, and then by then some of them weren't skinheads; they were actually longer haired, and it was nasty. It was political. They were saying things that I've been called a wog and a coon and stuff, but they were doing it in a way that was about a philosophy. It was like this was casual, sometimes unintended. I think that was done by design. That was people, they just didn't want us there, full stop. And they were the ones where when they said go home, they meant it. They wanted you to go home. And so that was the thing about two-tone that I did struggle with a bit. So on the stage would be my wonderful experience, but even in the audience, it wasn't safe always, which is a shame, isn't it? I can remember going to a Paul Weller concert a while ago. I've been shocked by this. I was on the balcony. My Paige had bought me as a birthday present for my daughter Paige, and I could see these heads. There's some sort of weird effect on these heads, and they were white old men who were jumping up and down, and with the light on, it looked like it was like the sea. But I was in the audience and had quite a few drinks, and I talked to this white woman and white bloke, and you could just tell he was trying not to be racist. So even now, having gone through that journey, but he knew he shouldn't be it. Do you know what I mean? Whereas back in the day, one, he either wouldn't have known, or he would have deliberately. And that was this group of. I'm certain they were organised National Front or whatever they were then. But football was a good example. Two-tone football. I swear, from my memory, that a lot of music events around reggae, there'd be white people who you wondered why they were there, but it was normal. Whereas, and with two-tone, but it was much more. That was a black music. With two-tone, I think it was more equality in terms of parity, not equality, parity in terms of the white and black contribution. So at its heart was I think black music. That's my view. I don't know if you'll agree, but that's my view. But there was like a white equality about participation. Because reggae tended to be black musicians, black, and I think there was a bit of snobbery as well. A lot of people of colour would say that some white people would never get reggae, couldn't play it. There was no, they just didn't get it. Two-tone was like a different thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and you felt that spoke to your experience.
Yeah.
Being in Britain, it was rooted in a British experience.
I vividly remember the when the two-tone came, and what really struck me was I thought it all came from Birmingham. I didn't realise, but at the time when I first heard it, obviously when you get when you find out about something, you then learn about it. But I was struck by it. Were these people from the Midlands? Are they black people in the Midlands? That was really interesting about that interview that you did afterwards. There was definitely different things. The black Midland experience. In some respects, in London, we thought we were better. We were the cooler. So there was like this, you had the hierarchy of racism. You may be black, but I'm blacker, or you may be, all that. And then there's the skin tone things. I think there was that about you came from Birmingham, you were not as cool as if you came from London, and they can't play reggae in Birmingham. And that definitely was true, definitely true. And it's really interesting how I think two-tone seemed to have more. It seemed to, I don't know, more of an impact from there. And UB40 was a brilliant example of. They may not have been two-tone, but they were part, in my mind, exactly of that movement, where it's shocking. These two white singers in a reggae band, and they're really good, and they've actually got the beat right, and and they're cool. That thing about being cool. They're talking about the 1 in 10. I think, wow, that really, I understand that. What's all this stuff about? I don't even remember what heavy metal records were then, but I don't know who they were, but Viking warriors or whatever they used to talk about. Black Sabbath, yeah. What's all this stuff about the devil? It's the 1 in 10. I understand that. Bloody bleak. It's really bleak. Something's wrong. We got to do something about it, but you don't know what. So yeah, Two Tone was us taking our generation forward. Reggae sort of was almost like the previous bit. That may sound terrible, but that Two Tone thing was like it was the British melting together. But then again, you had not only UB40, you had Steel Pulse, who were unique in my view, because they maintained the almost the integrity of the Jamaican, and they absolutely nailed the British experience on top. And even I, who was anti anyone being cool outside of London, could understand Handsworth Revolution, because didn't know where Handsworth was, didn't understand it, but I knew exactly what he was on about. The whole thing, the Ku Klux Klan. I don't have any personal recollection except this vivid dream when I was a kid of there being some big crosses outside my house when I was a young boy. But as soon as I heard that song, I knew exactly what it was about. Totally, it was spot on, the feeling, the sentiment. And it's a bit like, how do you explain hundreds of years when you don't even know it was hundreds of years because you're a kid? But there's something because of the way you and your community have, even if it's fractured and it's all over the place. All my brothers and sisters talk about this, especially my brothers, the rage my brother has. He doesn't understand it, but you look back now and think, well, it's blindly obvious, isn't it? Completely disempowered, constantly being undermined here, there, and everywhere. Always having to be on your guard, just in case, So you go somewhere. I wouldn't go to a party in the East End. One of my best mates, because I knew his dad was a racist, and they were all thugs. One of my best mates. So constantly on. It was always there, and that thing about Two Tone was actually the white and the black of our generation. It was doing something together that was more positive going to the future, I think.